Welcome back to a very basic space program. In this episode, well, we've got a few things to do. We've got to do the stuff around Jupiter. We've got a craft that we might be sending to the moon with a crew, and we've also got to start thinking about sending something to Jupiter for a mission that I was never planning on doing. So please join me. Right, so here we are in the VAB, and I'm actually looking at the Pathfinder B2 RTG for Jupiter. This is a craft that the Pathfinders we were going to send to, or we are sending to Jupiter actually, the ones that are there. This is their craft. It uses the Javelin 75 as its launch stage, and then we've got this transfer stage here, which gives it a good chunk of transfer. It gives it actually about 1,000 meters per second more than it needs to have with RCS on, and then we've got the sort of in Jupiter sphere of influence bus that gives us about 6,000, which is basically enough to get it to some of the moons and stuff like that. We're not going to work with this. I am going to start afresh, I think. So this currently masses 2,200 tons. It is a build time of 74 days. So if worst comes to worst, we send one of these. We strip out some of the tech and we send one. But let's start and look at building something a little bit more specialized, I think. Right, so we're going to start off with the avionics, and I don't know how big we want this. We do want some communications of some sort. We probably want one of the biggest dishes we can get, 4 meters. Do we want to go bigger than 4 meters? We do have the 4.8. 4 meters is big. I quite like the idea of 4 meters. Right, in which case, what are the options for this? No thingy or thingy. I quite like having that. It just looks better. Which means I'm going to take this and we're going to make it fit a little bit less than that. 6.5, is it? There we go, 6.3 or 6.25? 6.25? That looks alright to me. Right. We need to do some changes on this. We're going to knock this up to maximum. We're going to keep that for its near Earth stuff. We're going to have to change the setting to deep space, turn it to that avionics, and just apply that. We're going to change that in a bit. We're going to change this because we want it to be X-band, and we're going to do the antenna planning. So let's have a look. So we're going to be transmitting from Jupiter. We could put extra things on this and use it as a relay. That's a thought, isn't it? We're at 8. Potentially we'll be at 9 by the time we get to this. But am I happy with that? Plan that. I'm not particularly happy with that speed of transmission. Can I get more speed? Where's the next tier up? That one and that one. 44 is a lot of power. Also, what's it do for mass? Let's have a look at the mass of this vehicle. So it's 0.26 at the moment. So put it at 4. So 0.26 going up to that is 0.26. It's not much difference actually. I think that's the one I want to go for. That gives me decent transmission rate. I am tempted to put another dish on there, and then we can piggyback with the data from within the system, but I think that might be a bit excessive. Yeah, I think we'll just leave it like that. Right, power usage. Let's have a look. We are using consumed. Let's put the transmitter on. Let's put it on 100%. Okay, so we're using quite a bit. So let's have a look at. First of all, let's make this mass. I don't know, 5 tons, just to simplify and make that 1,000. There we go. Apply that. Okay, so that now says to me we've got 0.226 I need to produce. Let's have a look at what electricity we can produce. What's the best one we've got? Where are we? We had some nice electric. There we are. The multi-100 water. So what's one of those do? Okay, so get the dish back on. Thank you. So we need a couple of these. 2 of those, or we could go for one of these. How much does that produce? Ooh, now that would work. Could have 2 of those. What's the mass of those? Let's have a look. Let's compare. So that is move that out the way. That is going to be a 0.0, so 56 kilograms versus 37. It's better, isn't it? Although I would only need 2 of these. Although we're going to have degradation. It's going to be in orbit for a while. It's potentially going to be there for a while. These things have a half-life of 40 years. So say it's there for 40 years, we'd actually need 2 of them. And it could be there for 40 years. We're not going to send an actual nuclear power plant out because that would just be silly. Right, so we're going to go with 2 of those. Let's pop those on. There we go. Get those on already. We can start making up the mass that we're going to look at. That's not where they're going to end up being at all. There you go. So they'll just stick out like that. How lovely. Right, we now then need some sort of a thrust. What's our best, sort of nicest thrust? Which are the engines we used on the Teal craft? Because I seem to remember those were quite nice. I'm probably going to be really annoyed when I find them. I think it was R something. RD4s maybe? When do we get the RD40s? And would I want an RD40 actually? RD40s, MMH and M Mon3, that's the same thing. They are a bit more punch, aren't they? Let's go for these. And let's put just a tank there. Let's just get a integral structure tank and fatten it up. Diameter. There we go. No, make it smaller. There we go. Could actually just do what we're doing with everything else. We'll just do what we actually got the width on this one as. We have the width as 16.3 because that's logical. 16.3 is obviously the width that you always build all your tanks at. Right, there we go. Do it to there. Put this on there. Put that there. We're going to make this. I'm guessing it needs to be pressure fed. Do this. Do that. And do that. That gives me a 2 hours burn for 4. Yeah. I don't think we need that much burn time. Right, what's our load at the moment? 2 tons. It's an interesting one, isn't it? It would just be a big tank. We're going to need RCS, which that can provide. That is pressurized. I suppose we could put a load of these on, couldn't we? Just like, 6 of them. There we go. Takes down 24 minutes. Still gives us 4,000 meters per second, which I am not unhappy about. And then we put these sort of, get 2 of those, have those sort of there, so they would then extend out. Yeah, I'm actually, this is working. So extend that one out. Okay, so that would be the craft there. Basically, that's the basics of it. We'd have to put some equipment on it. Now, can we get them in here is the question. So we're looking for orbital perturbation data, and I can't put them in because I have to buy it because we haven't got them yet. So we have to go here. So we're going to go science. Let me get the science and we'll move past that. Right, so we have got all the science on board, and we can see that this thing here is very chunky. And we've got all the other stuff on this side to try and counterbalance it. What are we looking at? We haven't got any RCS on yet, so that's not going to help us. So let's get the RCS on. Let's go some nice simple 4-way ports would be a good idea. Maybe at right angles. I quite like them at right angles, so we'll do them like that. Do 1, 2, 3, 4. One there. Ooh, we can't catch that one. That's interesting. So that's got a massive sphere of influence. Thingy. Right. So that goes like that. We'll put these onto Mon 10. Is it? Is this Mon 10? Mon 3. Mon 3. Put the onto Mon 3 and then take them all the way to the top. And then this one onto Mon 3 and then take those all the way to the top. Right. So that's basically the start of this craft. It's got a mass of 2.2 tons. We could stick the other transfer thing underneath it if need be. But I'm sort of like, do I want to craft that big? Do we just go small? It's the alternative. We take a little thing, we have a little engine, we put these nearby because it's near the center of mass. Because, let's have a look. Yeah, we have horrendous. That is horrendous, isn't it? What's going on? Yeah, we've got it's offset at the top. Yeah, it's to one side. Okay, so if we did, Yeah, we're gonna have to do offsetting. Oh, I hate that. What's the best way of doing it? I wonder whether we could actually put this in between some engines. That's an idea. Ooh. 2 engine clusters, 2 tanks, and the science equipment in the center. That is an interesting concept. Let's play with this for a second. I have an idea. Right, so after lots of playing around, I have taken the craft that I was looking at. So let me just let's pull this off and then show you what I'm talking about. So what we've done is we've built a hollow tank. We've put our little heavy thing in the center there. We put the other things off to one side. I've had to offset them and all sorts of stuff to try and get them balanced. It might actually have been better to have this on one side and this over on this side. But I've also decided to include a mass spec because we don't actually have any of the mass spec science from Jupiter low. So I think that's worth, if we're going to send this craft that low, it's worth us pushing it. That has about 3,500 meters per second. It takes 35 minutes to fire all his engines. We've got 4 engines on it, and of course, look, they are clear. So this thing, by the way, when you open it, yeah, it can still look out. And I like to think that it's being protected from terrible things from with these tanks around it. Right. So here is here's the launcher we've been using for everything else, and you can see this will actually get the craft to the Jupiter sphere of influence. It has the delta V. We've got about 7,000 meters per second in this stage. However, let's pop outside. However, let's just pull this up. I'm not a big fan of this at the moment. I think I want to go bigger. I think we want to start sending bigger things anyway. So I would like excess. I would like excess sort of stuff. So what we're going to do is, first off, we're gonna take this off. We don't want the Javelin 75. We're going to grab from, let's have a look, where have we used the Javelin 200? What have we used the Javelin 200 for? Wow, we have so many things in here. Some of these things you've never even seen. The Javelin 200 X and Y, that's not what I actually used. I need the J200. Where did we use it for? There we go, the Dog 5A. So we merge that. This is interesting. This is now saying it's going to take 30 minutes for this to go. That's odd. Let's just check. So that is 1.92. Can we actually, yeah, that's okay. It's now saying 35 minutes. Is that right? 30 minutes. Why is that 30 minutes? What is going on there? Is this, let's just check. This isn't actually cross-feeding or anything, is? No, it is not. Oh, because they're probably firing, yeah, they're firing at the same time. That's why. Okay. Simplify that. There we go. That would make more sense. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop these open. We're going to steal this here. There we go. You've seen this before. There we go. Put that there. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Take this. Put it there. Actually, let's do that and put it there like so. Right, what does that do for us? It does nothing. Oh, now that's interesting. That stage there, even before it loads up, we can actually see that because we've now restacked these. Only 4,000 meters per second from this, so a total of 7,400. So we need a bigger second stage here. That's definitely something. So this stage, yeah, this definitely gets us into orbit. And the good thing is, actually, this could do departure. Let's have a look. This should be, it should be a, oh, hello. This should be capable of doing departure, shouldn't it? 3 ignitions, yeah, because it's the uprated one. Okay, so we may want to think about that. No, get rid of that, thank you. Close that, close it, thank you. Right, so using the Javelin 200, what's the time on this? 160 days, right, we need to be wary of that. Right, it's going to be able to get this up. This has got 8,000 in it. We could actually put a bigger payload on this. This Javelin could take bigger. Can we go a little bit bigger? What's the time on that? 7 minutes 30. I think that's the limit of that engine. Yeah, I think it is. So that's why that's that. Right, so then we have to look at this one. what's the limits on these engines? The KTD 425. So 425. The KTD 425. What's your limit? You are burn time. Okay, so that's almost 10 minutes. About 9 minutes. So we can go bigger. We can go bigger with this as well. So let's do that. Let's make this bigger. Let's go 10 minutes. Let's go 9 minutes. How far for 9 minutes? That's what we're asking ourselves. How fat can we get? It can get pretty fat, actually. This is getting fat. Right, take that down. But a smidgen. There we go. That's about right. I think that's about what it'll do. Okay, so pop this off the bottom for a second. Right, so that's that stage. I would really like to not have that like that. So if we take this and we say, what's the mass of this at the moment? 16. So let's make it 80. Let's make it 20 tons. Apply that. Right. And then I want to actually flatten this out. So we're going to stop it being a cone so much. I'm going to make it... actually, that's not so much of a problem. That shape actually works for me. It's this one that is the problem. So I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to pull it down as well. So we do that. I'm going to imagine that it's doing something else. It's going to go in the center, if you must know. How clippy are these? That has a very large... It's a very large and annoying thing that it does, which it has a... Yeah, so we're going to do that. There we go. And then that, yeah, that looks all right. I mean, it doesn't look all right. It's what it's going to be. Ideally, what we'd actually do is strut this, and in fact, that might be a good suggestion. Yeah, I think I want to use struts, which is not something I do normally in RP-1, but we're going to do that. We're going to use some struttage. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to put that there to there like that. And there we go. There. That's okay. I'm happy with that. So that gives us 5. That gives us, well, 5.5, 3.5, that's 9. That's 9,000 meters per second, which should be enough, unless I have to do some big changes. If anything, we're going to get close to Jupiter. That's what we need to know. We're going to get close to Jupiter. So then what's this do? Actually, what's the insulation on this tank? Because there is a possibility that we could take the whole tank. Oh, hello. Only need one of them. Right. What is the insulation on this tank? Let's attach it. What is your insulation? You are... Nope, that's the wrong one. There we go. We are fully insulated. What am I just clicked on there? Oh, that's interesting. Controls 150 tons. Now, this gets interesting because what's my power availability like? Get this out of the way. Oh. What happens when I turn this off? So when I shut this down and disable that antenna, we can take it. So we could potentially... Is it going to travel for a few years without losing anything? We could take it. I mean, we could take it anyway. Use the RCS if need be. It's a thought. If anything else, we could just carry it on. We have enough. We would have enough with just residuals just to run it. We're going to get the power anyway. So I think we do that. I think that's what we're going to do with this. Wow, that's going to be an interesting choice. We do have... Actually, that's only just enough delta V. Yeah, I don't think we are going to do that, are we? So let's reactivate that there. We're going to do that. We'll use this. We'll use this, and hopefully we have enough to bring us down low. The alternative is we send another one of these with a heat shield and just plow into Jupiter, which would be quite interesting. And we could do that. We could equip one of these with a heat shield, have this at the top, heat shield at the bottom, and just go for it. Just power it into the atmosphere and see what happens. I quite like that. So this is going to be the first one, though. This is going to be the first one. Let's pull this down to about there. I don't want it actually clipping at all. In fact, can I make this smaller? Cannot. So that's as small as it goes. Okay. In fact, can I just make it bigger? Let's make it like that. Yeah, that's better. And then what we can do is we can actually make it look reasonably realistic in the fact that it's going to be like that. There we go. There we go. Right. I'm happy with that. Avionics, let's check. So 115, this is designed for 150. That's designed for 20, which is the mass of that. Does it have anything? It does not. Wonderful. Right. Then this thing, off we go, put that onto there. And that gives us a big boost. And this potentially could do our initial boost as well, but we're not gonna. We're gonna just we're gonna let it leavey and do its stuff. So I think that's us. We need about 6,200 to get out of the sphere of influence. That should have it even with margins, I think. Right. So I think that's our craft. Now we've just got to figure out, it takes 161 days currently. What does it take when we tool stuff? Let's have a look. Tooling. Tooling takes it down to 155. 155. Now let's see what's this is the bit where it gets difficult, doesn't it? So show the build list, tech. We have 128 days, 128 days, 129, say 130. Say 130 days until the time. So 130 days plus a build time of 150. So that's 280, something like that. 280. I think this is possible, actually. I think this is well within our range. Where's the calendar? Venus, Jupiter is... Oh, no. It's not. We have to do something better then. We have to go quicker. We have to spend some more money. We have to spend some more money on the science, is what we have to do. Right. We're going to do this, even if we have to sacrifice a lot for it. Let's do the fairing, do the tooling. Okay, tool all. 37,000, that's nothing. Right. I think all of that is good. So let's see, what's it actually going to say to us when we try and build this? It'll probably say that you can't build it. It says pressure, high res, and that is not available. Okay, so we're going to save that. We're going to go and we're going to ramp up some of the tech. Right, so we need to get our total time for science down by about 20 days. That's an awful lot. Yeah, we're going to be using buttons, and I'm actually going to take this all the way down to 3 million. Yeah, I'm going to go R&D. Let's see what happens. This is painful. What are we down to now? Oh, that's it. Did not expect it to be quite like that. However, we then got rollout time and stuff like that. So, yeah. Actually, let me just check whether we do need both of these, because if we don't, this is a big waste of time, isn't it? What was the other one that we needed? What was the... It's that one. It's the high resolution imaging. So we could, if we're really short on time, we could cut that out. We're going to have that. We could take one of those. No, we're already heavy. But it would be good, wouldn't it? Okay, well, we know that that's now going to be available to us. So once we've got these two done, any craft that we design for science will basically be the best they can be. There is no more science equipment available. So we will basically, once this tech is finished, we can start putting together the final generation of Pathfinders and things like that. Because although I suppose we're going to get some better engines, but we can just refine them. We can put the science packages together at least, and then just strap new engines onto them. So that is a positive. Right. Do I put a bit more in just to give us leeway? No, I think I'm all right with it. I think we need to make sure that the timer stops though. So actually, yeah, in 100 days. So let's set a timer for 100 days. Seconds, minutes, hours, days, 100. There we go. Add alarm. There it is. 100 days from now. Right. And with that, all of that building work, I think it's about time we went to the moon. The mission I am looking at... Hello, how are you? The mission I'm looking at is... If I can find it... Not Farside Landing, not Ludity. Where is it? Where is the... Oh, we've already accepted it, that's why. Lunar Space Station, nope. Oh, we've already got that in planning. We've got 5 years for that, so we must make sure we do that. So here we are. This is the one for the surface. So we're going to land an outpost on the moon. Keep at least 2 crew for 30 days on it. Have at least 2 crew members on board. Space for at least 4 crew. Land on the moon. Land the outpost on the moon for 30 days. Okay. Then you're going to return home safely and keep the outpost on the surface is what it's supposed to do. We may have a problem when we depart that we've had stuff that we've left on the surface that have been attached to stuff explode as we depart. So I'm just aware of that. So let's give this a go, I think. We're going to head off to the moon straight away, get this thing going. So we're going to basically target the moon. There we are. Find you, set as target. Come over here, find my ascent guidance. Here we are. Whoa, that is something I needed to catch straight away. That could have been embarrassing. We've got the fairings all the way down there. Now they should be up here somewhere. Probably up about there. Let's have a look. So we've got this first stage engine, solids go. Then they decouple. Then that second stage there. And then we've got the fairings. Then that decouples. And then we've got this engine here. So we'll put this up here. There we go. And I think that's us ready. I think. Right. So the aim is to get this thing into orbit, and then we can talk about 10 hours. It's going to be a nighttime launch, isn't it? Oh, good Lord. Right. Let's get that there. We're gonna stay zoomed out because it is going to be a bit of a loud one, I think, and it's going to be in the dark, isn't it? 3, 2. Oh, it's going to be as the sun is going down. How romantic. So on the crew we have Evgenia, the pilot. She's been to the moon before. I think she's been on the surface of the moon before. She's going to be our orbital pilot. We have scientist Deborah Howard, and we have pilot Stella Stewart. So the two of them, so Deborah and Stella, will be going to the moon's surface. I don't know how many times we've been to the moon's surface now. It's like second, third or fourth, is it? I think something like that. Right, we're powering up the engines. Engines are good. And it is time to fire that solids at some point. There we go. Solids are go, and we are up. We are going up, and there is a lot of light from somewhere onto the crew's face then. And for a second there, I thought we had an explosion. I think it was the sun just coming through the fairing. This thing is a bit difficult to launch. This is one of the reasons I'm using the ascent guidance, because it's a bit chuggy, shall we say. It's a very large rocket with, and the solids do not help it. They actually they do make it a bit chuggy for the old graphics and everything. So we're going on up anyway. We're about to start the old gravity turn. Let's have a look. Is that okay? I think it is. I think we're okay. Everything seems to be okay. We're a little bit off on thrust. We can see first burn, second burn, third stage burn is going to be required for this. Which is okay. We're expecting that. We have over 1,600 extra on this thing. This craft, ironically, is actually not too heavy. We actually the craft we're putting into orbit is actually lighter than this launch vehicle can take. The Javelin 200 designed for 200 tons to orbit. We're only putting about 100 and I think about 150 to 170 or something like that. It's a bit beefy, but we can cope with it. So this thing's going to get up there. I'm going to speedy up the time a little bit, even though that's not going to have a massive impact on it. The solids will die off before the main central engines. However, it won't be much before. So that's something we can just slow this down a bit. We can actually bring it into a nice view, can't we? Look at that. Isn't that nice? Oh, beautiful. Right. I will try and, when the solids are getting ready to go, we will think about how we're going to decouple them. My concern is that I've just realised the solids may actually have a long burn on them that I've not accounted for. So we're going to come back into here, and we're going to just check solids lead to support, solids early lead, 1 second. I think we probably want that to be about 2, just in case, otherwise they could stay attached for quite a bit of time. Right, we're going to drop this down to 2 times speed. The solids are providing very little in the way of power right now, so we're going to let them go. Here we go. And you can see they are dropping, so we could actually make that later, actually make it like 3 or 4. They don't even keep their own thrust up, so that's something to remember. Right, we're up at 60. We've got the, what are these? These are the F1s, aren't they? Yes, we're actually using F1 engines at the start of this. I was tempted to move for the M1 because they are big and powerful and lovely, but the F1 made cost sense for me. Right, we're coming on up there. The F1s have got another 20 seconds to go. We are traveling quite a pace now, 2,700 meters per second. Our apoapsis is getting up there. We're almost at the point where our apoapsis makes me happy. 200 is quite high, but I'm going for it because I think it's a bit safer than going a bit lower down. Right, we're now, yeah, our apoapsis is now outside of the sphere of influence, the atmosphere, sphere of influence, wow. And then we go with the second proper stage, and you can see that ring of the, what is it, the LR87 LH2 vacuum optimized engines, which are going to push us up. We have lost one of them. This one here has gone. Now I could knock out one of its partner, but I think we should be okay for separations and everything. The fairings are gone. Whee, that was tight. We might need to increase the thrust on those when they go. I am going to turn this engine off when we get higher up. So we had a failed ignition there, which is not good. We're gonna pin this over here, because we're gonna want it later. Yeah, there we go. And you can start to see the stack. Actually, you can see the stack that we've got up here. It's a bit of a juicy one. Right, if we start to lose sort of control, we will shut this engine down. I would rather keep as many engines running though as I can. So there we are. You can see, so this is that there is the top section, the ascent stage of our original lander that we put together, and underneath it is something significantly bigger. That is the Curie stage. It's supposed to be basically a little base on the moon. Originally the Curie 1 was planned to land separately, and then we're going to use the rover if needed to move the crew around, or we're going to use a controlled landing. Because our lander has used to have quite a bit of fuel on it. I'm hoping the ascent stage on this has enough to get to orbit, because if it doesn't, well, that's going to be a problem for us. Alright, we're heading on up there, and it looks good actually. We've got a few engines up here that are in red because we're actually thrusting in reverse, so obviously all these engines here are in backwards. We need to be aware of that. We've got that engine, and then that's that engine there. Okay. So we're doing well. I shall let this run a bit, and I shall see you when we get towards orbit. Right, we're starting to get very close to orbit now, and I'm looking at this stage that we're firing at the moment and thinking we could potentially get quite a bit of push out of that. So we're actually going to go to normal speed. We don't have RCS on it, which is something we could do in the future, actually put a little bit of RCS on it. But we do have RCS on these, so if these can settle this craft down, then we can actually use the Delta V from this to get us to the moon and help us to the moon. There we go. The problem we have is this stage is a little anemic. It does have an okay amount of thrust for this task, but we'd have had to put a second engine on. I was trying to avoid that. Right, so we're going to turn everything. Is there anything burning? What is that noise? We've got RCS going. Right, we had RCS firing. That's interesting. Why do we have RCS fire? We shouldn't have. Odd. Which RCS was firing? And was it firing all the way up? Because that would be problematic. Potentially we've used up RCS of one of the stages. I will have to go back and see if we can see any sign of RCS burn. Right, we're going to arm the RCS. There we go. Alright, now let's see about getting to the moon. I'm actually going to shut down that engine. So that's the partner engine. We don't need it. The thrust is going to be okay. So let's close this down. Let's get solar panels out, and then let's get ourselves to the moon. Right, we have a burn set up. Now it's just a case of whether we can actually achieve the burn. It's 33 minutes away, and I don't think this thing is going to move particularly helpfully. You can see it is just, oof, it's all over the place. It's heavy, it's big, it's horrendous. I don't even know what the fuels on each stage are at the moment. It's a biggie. Let's have a look. So that's the ascent stage. I don't think we've changed it, unless we've, yeah, it's got the standard ascent engine. Okay. Right, I think I'm pretty much ready to go. Yeah, I think so. You can see we've got solar panels out on all the craft. They're all sporting a set of solar panels. Some of them look bigger than others. Are they the same? So they're the XT4s, we've got the XT3s and other XT3s. That's occluded at the moment, but that's not a problem. And we have full charge in the batteries. In fact, we're just gaining a little bit of electric charge at the moment because we can. So yeah, that's cool. Right. Let us get around to the, let's see, let's just execute it. Yeah, let's execute it. Turn the RCS on. Can this craft actually turn to match is the question. Let's speed you up a bit. It's an awful lot asking it to do this. But it is going to do it, I think. Right, I'm going to let it get on with this, and I shall see you when we're about to do our departure. Right, we're about 7 minutes before the burn starts. I had to manually force this round because it just wasn't doing anything. It'll be interesting to see how it goes, actually. We're gonna do speedy uppy. Sometimes MechJeb doesn't like composite craft, like, well, not composite craft, but craft that have got stages facing the opposite direction and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. It seems to look as though it's trying to find where it wants to go to. We'll just speed up time a bit more. I think it's just attempting to arrive at the last second because it's such a big craft. The positive is by slowly rotating like this, we're actually pushing the fuel down to the engines on that big stage. So that's helping us significantly. Positive here, if we can actually use that big stage to actually get out to the moon, we're going to have loads of fuel left in the transfer stage. And that's going to hopefully do the capture and everything for us. It could even start, well, no, it won't start the descent, but it'll get us a long way to anywhere, basically. So that's a big positive for us. Right, I'm going to get this to the start of its ignition, and then we should be ready to go. Says the burn time is 6 minutes. I don't think it is 6 minutes, but we will see. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to move some of the crew, because I've just realised they're all sat in a place where if the transfer of food and stuff doesn't work, they will actually die. So we're going to move the crew around a bit because I've locked off all the food supplies for these top 2 units, even though the crew can move backwards and forwards. Right. I think we need to fire some engines. I think we need to fire engines now, in fact. I think we need to. Come on. Come on. Why is it not? Why is it not? Abort node. Node. Right. Just fire the engines. There we go. Right, okay, it's a late burn. Not happy about that. But at least we're on the node now, and when this runs out, we'll execute next node, and hopefully that will then fire up. Yeah, that's just odd. I wonder why it didn't do that. It could be something to do with the fact it took so long to actually rotate around. It does seem to not like to fire its engines unless it's perfectly aligned, which is a problem when you've got a craft like this. So in future we'll know to put a little bit of RCS portage on this, because the port down here would actually help swing this craft around really nicely. Alright, we're going to get rid of this tank soon, which should help the frame rates. Of course, we're on the dark side, because that's what we do. We're going to do a bit of that. Because whenever we depart anywhere, it's always in the dark, isn't it? Again, we've still got those 2 engines out. The positive is, if those 2 engines are broken, it means that probably the other ones are going to be alright. But it does show that we do have trouble with those engines still. Right. So let's have a look. Can we get to the next stage? Is that engine going to run? We are pumping it. It's going to cut any second. There we go. Execute that. And then do that. There, come on. Come on. Is it? Yeah, we are. We are good. We are good. Okay. Right. And we've got the RCS running. Good stuff. Brilliant. And then the next engine is this one. Yeah, we could have easily double staged there by accident, and that would have been very annoying. So we've got all the crew in this pod here now. What we can actually look at is, let's have a quick peek. It's showing we've got 27 days of fuel. That's big food because we've actually tapped off the food. We could put on the this thing here, the fuel cell, but I don't feel the need to at the moment. We have electricity perpetual. We're not going to be landing anywhere dangerous. We're going to have one crew member on. We should be okay. Perpetual electricity charge, because how are we getting perpetual electric charge? O2 pressure controller, vacuum avionics, fuel cell. Fuel cells are working. We have fuel cells that are actually working. Since when did our fuel cells work? Wow. We can dump water if need be. But the fuel cells are working, but they're not dumping water. That's interesting. Oh no, because that's it. It just shows the amount that's actually available, doesn't it? So let's just dump all the water. We've got the fuel cells running. Liquid charging, oxygen, 7 minutes all. So some of that is actually the stuff in the pod, because we're using it for fuel cell power. There's also, I believe, fuel cells on this as well. We'll have to look at that when we get there. Let's speed this up and we'll see what happens when we get nearer to our target. Right, we're now coming back into the light, so we should be starting to get some power. 1 unit from there, 1 unit from there, 1 unit from this one as well, is it? 2 units from the one at the back, because that's the bigger power thing, which should mean that, yeah, electric charge is up at maximum, because we've got the fuel cell as well, so that's going to save us on fuel cell. We've got perpetual electric charge, 3 minutes of liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen, but we're not going to use that. We're not going to use that. We've got about 3 minutes to go, and 30 seconds to go until we are actually going to be en route to the moon. I'm just hoping that it's going to be all right. I'm concerned. I am concerned because of our late departure. But then equally, MechJeb might have actually been predicting better than me. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Shut this. Abort this. Abort it. Abort it. Abort it. Abort. Put me on... Which way to do? Might as well put me on retrograde, actually. Yeah, put me on retrograde. And then we can just bring this down. Come on, get me on retrograde. We've got a spin, and that's always what happens with this engine. Do I dare activate any more of the stuff? I think I probably do. Right, we're going to pull these down. I'm going to pull these down. I'm going to pull these down. I'm going to pull these down. We're going to go big on the RCS to try and control this, because we need to. Right, come on. Get control. Every RCS port is now firing. This is impacting our ability to land right now. But that's okay. It's okay. We have a limited RCS supply on this. That's the concern. It actually becomes pointless. If wait, what's nearer? What's nearer? Go prograde. Go prograde. Turn the RCS off. Right. There's prograde. When we come to prograde, we're gonna turn the RCS on, and we're going to deal with it. We might end up with excess hydrogen and oxygen firepower we can't use because we can't actually orientate the craft. Right. Right. Is that's retrograde? Get into it. It's gone full circle, hasn't it? Right. Come on. Hold it. Hold it. Good. 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 Right. Now the problem occurs, which is I want to lock off some tanks. So I need to lock off these ones. Come on. Come on. Right, I need to lock off some of these. So get rid of that. Right, I want this one, lock those off. This one, lock those off. This one, lock those off. Otherwise we can't reuse the engine, and everything we've just done was a waste of time. Right, turn the RCS off on again. Right, there we go. Get me onto the retrogrid. Right, and then do that. Right, I'm gonna timey-wimey speedy forward to try and change this. Right, so after firing a lot of RCS, we are... Oh, we've got that going on. We are in a situation where, of course, physical time warp causes everything to jump around. We're going to fire a little bit more RCS just to bring it down. We actually were perfect there. We're about 35 kilometers up, which is, I think, perfect, but we will see. So there we go. Turn the RCS off, so it shouldn't drift now. Right. Let's have a look at the state of the craft. We've got an awful lot of delta V here. That should be enough to do a really nice capture actually here, and really tight capture, if we can. Let's have a look. It's probably it's a lot more than enough, let's be entirely honest. And then we'll just dump that stage. There we go. So that's going to be a 1. That's, it's, you know what, we'll get a node done for this, because I would like it to be absolutely perfect. With that amount, we've used one of the ignitions, because we used one of the ignitions for the transfer, but we also used one because I just could not use all the RCS. It was just going to cripple some of our other craft. So I was like, right, okay, we're gonna do that. We have, you can see, eaten into significant proportions of fuels. That's one of the concerns I have. I don't believe this has been used. No, it has not. Fuel down here, I don't think has been used. But the only problem with this one is it has RCS fuel, I believe, somewhere. Yeah, there we go. It's got a bit of RCS fuels going on there. So there is a slight potential for problem there, but we'll deal with that when it comes. Right, we're going to get this craft over to the moon, and hopefully we can get it set up for landing. Right, so we've gone through about 4 days, and we're approaching the sphere of influence of the moon, and you will see that we are not where I was hoping to be. We are a little bit out, but we're going to go for a capture anyway. We're gonna add the maneuver. We're going to go for a capture. This is actually probably better. It means I can actually be a bit more aggressive in many ways with the capture. It does leave one of our craft quite high up, but that's not a massive issue for us. So there we go. That's going to be about 35. There we go. Okay, right. So that's what we're going to be going for. So we're gonna pull up. I was just, you can see, oh, we've got rover has arrived at destination. We'll have a look at that in a bit. We're going to get the maneuver planner to actually do this for us, primarily because turning this craft is not the most pleasant experience you've ever seen in your entire life. We were going to change inclination stuff. We're not going to do that. We're going to execute the next node, and we'll turn the RCS on. There we go. And what we will do is we'll that one's not done. That one's done. That one we can open up. Hello. Thank you. There we go. This one can be opened as well. And this one, is it? Yeah, there we go. They can help us get a bit on target. So the idea is we're going to hopefully get this thing on target. Now, some changes since our previous sort of big flight in one go to the moon. We've still got the solar panels on here. Obviously, this has changed. But last time we had a problem with water. So what we've done is we've actually got more water on this craft now. We've got more storage capacity. So this craft actually has water. If I show you, it has water for, 17 days on there. Obviously, that's less than we'd want. But that's with 3 crew drinking it. Once I take 2 crew off, this thing can sit on orbit and just use the solar panels as it desires, and it will potentially build up a little bit of water while we're away. But it'll have enough for the journey back. So that's not a big problem. We're quite happy about that. I believe we've got space for all sorts of stuff, but we're not gonna run with that. So we're gonna let this thing get itself into position, and then we'll do our capture burn. Finally got into position, and we're now speeding towards the moon. Now the interesting thing is, I think we're going to be on the dark side, are we, when we do the burn? As is always the case. No, we're actually popping around into the light. There we are, coming in. Our periapse currently are 111 kilometers, so we're quite high up. It's not as close as I would have liked, and it's quite a high altitude for actually if you're going to go into land. So we're going to bring down our periapse when we actually circularize. That's the plan anyway. So here we go. We're gonna fire this up. The engine is going. Right, it's gonna start pushing. Now we've got a lot of delta V left in this stage, so part of this capture would normally have been done by this stage if we were trying to do this. Equally, we could have done the capture with potentially the engine on here. There was a few options for us. There was a few options as to how we wanted to do this. I think in future, with a craft as big as the J200, going with something like this, we'll actually put some RCS on the main tank on the second stage, or we could redesign something. I think there's a lot that we could do here. I would really like an engine that we can relight 4 or 5 times, because it would actually make, and we could build a craft that could actually just return to Earth in one go, and it'd be a better idea. Equally, we're landing a base here with a return pod on it, so it's a bit of an odd one. Normally we would send probably a smaller craft. I don't think the J200 would seriously be needed all the time for this. Equally, we could land a lander that is reusable, and I have a reusable version of the egress, I think, that we're actually going to test in the future, which is basically a single stage moon landing to moon orbit. So that'll be an interesting one potentially, but of course then you've got to redo the engine, so you need engines that you can redo. So yeah, there's a bit of a debate there as to whether it's really feasible. We do have limited burn time on all the engines, unless you use something like a 1 kilonewton thruster, and then that gets to be crazy because they are not particularly effective. Right, we are getting this down now, so we're down to about 900 kilometers on our apoapsis. Our periapsis is dropping, which is interesting. We really want to actually see that go in a sort of stable manner. I don't want to overburn this, because that would just lead to hilarity in my mind. So we're coming down, and any time now would be good. There we go, 25 kilometers by 120. Oof, not brilliant, but yeah, could be worse. Right, we will decouple that. There we go. Superb. Turn the RCS on and give me a little bit of a push just away from there. There we go. Just to let that go. There we are. Wonderful. We could put this on the normal, but I'm actually okay being on the prograde marker. Sorry, retrograde marker. Put me on the retrograde marker. That's fine. Right. So this thing actually has plenty of supplies on board. I think next episode we're going to try and land it. So there we go. Look at that. That is our hopefully our habitat for the moon, our return to orbit craft, and our return to Earth craft. We're going to leave one of the crew on board, and the other two are going to spend, I think, about 30 days down on the surface. So from me, until next time, when we're hopefully going to land this thing, have a great one.